All right. All right. So I guess for those on Discord, just join the YouTube one. I think, yeah, just because sometimes when I'm doing YouTube live streams, my mic stops working on Discord. Um, so just so you guys can hear me and you'll see everything. Um, yeah, yeah, I might want to hop over there. So I'll just get a link. Oh, I saw it. There we go. Okay. I'll put that in announcements too. All right. All right. Hello, everybody. So, for those who are just joining, I am going to be making the red River Hog model. So, yeah, let's just open up Blender. If Blender wants to open up. Okay. Think I might have accidentally opened it twice, but whatever. Yeah. Okay, no, that's the old Blender version. I don't know why it's. Yeah, so I've had this computer for some time now, so. Yeah, 4.1. That's the one we want. One second while it's loading up. All right, so yeah, we can just leave the cube here. Like, I know like traditionally when you open Blender, like everyone, it's kind of a meme, right? You like just go and delete the cube, but in this case, we're actually gonna be using it. So yeah, so let's just go into side view here. Let's see. Just want to check which image is which. Yeah, so that one's good for the texture. That one's for the tail. That one's for like the most of the body. I think. Yeah, the pose on this one seems like more neutral, if that makes sense. So we're gonna be using that. And, oh. Let's actually. Um. Yeah, view. Large icons. Okay, there we go. So that certainly helps. Yep. And for the rest of it, we can just look back at that image. So, just have that off to the side. We don't need it just yet, I don't think. Alright. So just tab into edit mode, N. Yeah, there we go. Tool. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I don't have the add-on. Okay. Alright. So yeah, just auto mirror that. Then let's get our front view image as well while we're in here. So that one's not great. This one is a bit better, but it's a male, so we can go and look at like a female later on. But this is mostly for the positioning of the legs and getting like the width of the body right, which admittedly that one's not the best for, so we can look for a better one. Like, yeah, you see, the problem is most of them, like, they're kind of tilted off to the side like that. So we can't really use those. This would be good for side profile if, like, that one's head was in the way, but yeah. Never get enough reference. Let's see. Oh, I didn't know Animal Kingdom had them. That's cool. Yeah, there we go. That's a good one. Perfect. So we're not going to use that for the head because, of course, it's pointing down there, but we can use it for, like, the legs, and, again, the width of the body is the main thing we're trying to get here. So, yeah, let's get started. So, yeah, just kind of looking at that. So right off the bat, one of the first things I'm kind of thinking about is even in this very like rough stage, like where I want the major joints and such to be, or major forms of the body, joints or otherwise. So like here I know, yeah, like that kind of goes down. So like, this is where like the pelvis is, around there. And then here, this is where like the belly kind of starts to come up, and like between the legs would obviously go up there and like lead to the tail. So we can just get that. And we can just add a loop cut there. Of course, we'll fix this up some more when we actually add the legs and such. So like here, if I just go and use my grease pencil, like, yeah, that's about where the shoulder blade is, so that would be, somewhere around here. And that goes there. Yeah. elbow is right there. It's very obvious, so. And then again, go back to like where the pelvis area is. So we have that here. I suppose I should go up a little. And that slope by the tail. So I think this one's like a younger female, and this is like a fully grown one. So just knowing, you know, the anatomy of the animal is pretty important. So you can kind of piece together like where things are supposed to go. So something like that. And then, yeah, we just leave some room here for like where we're gonna put the elbows later. And then, so we can just add a loop cut, like so. And now we can add like the limbs and such, so. It's like there's like the glute, and then that goes down. Like this is the knee about right here. Something like that. Usually on quadrupeds, the knees and elbows line up pretty well. And then here's the ankle. Here's the wrist is down here. And then they're digitigrade, so they're walking on their toes and fingers. So like here's the fingers, right? And then toes. They're not perfectly lined up in this image. You can kind of see the perspective, right? So we might have to manually fix that, but that's not too hard to do. Actually, we do have the tail image that we can use later, so this doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to get the general shape there. So I just have the leg come out there. Sorry, that's still the glute. That's, yeah, you get the idea. Alright. And from here, it just goes down. And then we'll revisit this in a bit, because we will have to add another loop cut for the two toes. So these are artiodactyls, meaning two-toed ungulates. So it's not like a horse where it just comes to like one hoof. Like no, they've got two on each foot or hand. Right? Yeah. And they also have dew claws, so I guess four. So I just put that there. We can move all this down, just make the whole thing a bit more round, I suppose. Alright, and then before I do the shoulder and the arm, I do want to kind of get the head going, or the neck. Just kind of mark out where the shoulder is in the meantime, though. Okay, cool. Just add that so we can do the jaw. Actually, let's add another one, and that'll help like making the body round later too. So I'm just gonna So just kind of marking out where I'm going to put everything. So like these vertices can come up here. And actually I'm noticing now here seems to be some kind of form, like back of the skull, I would assume. It's very important we mark that as well. Okay. Seems like I've extruded that the wrong way. It's okay though. Yeah, see, I forgot to select some of the vertices, so... Vertices. Vertices, vertexes, whatever. Right, so we just get those. So I actually have a lot of people ask me, like, how do I, you know, how do I model like jaws or like the mouths of animals? This is basically it. And then for the inside, you can like make another loop cut, especially if you want to like rig and animate like lips. Then it's pretty important to have these. And then these interior faces you can kind of just push down, or you can extrude down, I would say is better. Extrude in for like inside the mouth, you know. And after that, if you want to like smooth out a bit, you can do that pretty easy. Of course, this isn't quite the right shape for the pig's lower jaw, but yeah, we'll work on that in a second. Because I do want to get the top of the snout in first. I'm actually gonna add a loop cut. Oh, not there. Shoot, I think it's because yeah, see my computer, it's a little old, so it thinks I had the shift key selected, but yeah, of course I didn't, so just move that down there. Just to where we've like marked it out. Cool. And same sort of deal with the inside of the top of the mouth, so we can just push up. And this is where, like, you know, the roof of your mouth is, essentially. And just add loop cuts and extrude as needed to follow like the shape that you want. Actually, we're not gonna sculpt that just yet, but alright, and I definitely want to make a note of right about there, where kind of the fleshier, like, nose part of the snout is. Right, so essentially when we get to that point, there's a few options, but the easiest of which is just to kind of extrude again. And actually, here, since this is no longer inside the mouth, we can just bring this down. So we can select these faces. Okay. Of course, that shape is nowhere near final, right? Like it's not gonna look all like rectangular, if you will. Just laying out the framework here, essentially. Just lining everything up is important. Although this will be like almost, you know, flat. It'll just be like, you know, much rounder, of course. But basically, the way you make something flat is you just kind of go in side profile and you line everything up. So fairly easy to do. You can just extrude one more time to complete the shape, scale down. Cool. Alright. Now we can really start shaping stuff. So again, just kind of redefine where that snout actually is. Or the nose is, rather. So just going off our reference, right? We don't have to trace everything. But you can see like the top of the snout kind of comes to a point like that. So we can quite easily define it, I would say. And then behind would probably not be like that. Let's say cut that around here. Cool. And then for the nostrils, we kind of already have them, but let's round them out before we inset them any further. Might be a teeny bit too big, I won't lie. Yeah, there we go. Just something more like that. Because pigs do, of course, have big nostrils, right? They're very famous for that. That little snout shape. It's a common thing in pretty much all pig species. like I was saying, can just like with the inside of the mouth, you can kind of like smooth it out a little. Cool. Just really want that to like look almost flat. Not completely, but you know, nearly. I would say that does it. Shade smooth. Alright. Oh. So those kinds of corners, like what you see here, you do want to be careful, but as long as you line everything up, and sometimes you want to add a few more like vertices around here, like if we just do this, it'll help. Yeah. But again, knowing your anatomy is still really important. Because like generally, right, when you have the lips like this, it's kind of indicating where like the top part of the skull is. Like it would be, if I were to guess, I haven't looked at pig skulls in a while, but yeah, you can kind of see where it is, like, or like the major forms of it. Like, yeah, like this would still be the lip, and then the skull, something around there. And that goes into like the cheekbone area. And of course the lower jaw here. Yeah, so just knowing anatomy is very important when you do this stuff, because the basics kind of apply everywhere. But I am going to add some more vertices to, of course, where the eye is, because it's a very round shape, so do want to get that right. You can add these. Yeah. Just some more topology around the eyes for like when we animate like blinking and such. This is going to be pretty important. And then I notice around here, this comes in. Oh goodness, what happened back here? Looks like when we were adding the extra loop cuts, yeah, added a little too much detail in a part of the model where I didn't quite want it, but we can actually use that without deleting any of it. I'm not gonna lie, at this point it's, yeah, the topology is not great, but it'll do for our purposes. Now we can actually use it to define like where the hip is. So we have that marked there, so let's just a little indent there. Just move these down. Yeah, because like they're overlapping each other because I had so many. So next time we might want to use the knife tool instead, but basically lets you add more in a very specific part of your model. That way you don't mess everything else up like this. But again, still can put it to use if you're creative enough. And just actually no, I'm not going to sculpt, I'm going to use proportional editing. Underrated animal, yeah. Oh yeah, sorry for those of you guys who were chatting. There's at least 12 of you, so hello everybody. Yes, I am live. I was just very focused, so I didn't think to really read the chat, but yeah, yeah. Thank you guys. So far, Y'all seem very happy about this, and so am I. This is one of my favorite animals, actually. And it just happens to live where the game takes place, so was very, very happy to see that. Now I can include him and you guys can play as him, so that's going to be very interesting. So with the head, mostly just gotta make it rounder, really, and kind of puff out more. Not puff out, but go out more in a way. And they've got pretty thick necks too. It's kind of a common thing with pigs, actually. They've all got like very, very thick necks. A lot of ungulates do, but pigs especially. Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, that's my favorite Planet Zoo animal as well as this one. So for the ears, I'm gonna go mostly on the front view image here, uh, because the thing is in the side view images one like they're all like rotated back, but of course for the default model we can't really have that. Like that has to be done through animation once the model has like already been made, like it's been rigged and all that. So not done with the ears just yet. You see these hair thingies, I remember Planet Zoo animated theirs really well. I'll be honest, for mine I might be more minimalistic with it, but I can somewhat do them. So basically, the way that these alpha planes work is they're gonna be like mostly, like most of the background is gonna be invisible, and it'll just be like images of like strands of hair on them to make them, you know, look hairy essentially. So that's why I do have to make them bigger than, you know, the hair in the reference image so I can actually fit all of it on. Fresh earring drift. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's selling right now. No, yeah. I mean that's accurate though. Like that's how. I mean you can literally see it in the image. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I guess. Oh, you know what? I didn't make them big enough, like the lower parts of the ear. But yeah. No, chances are, like, I'm gonna guess you're probably just used to seeing warthogs. This is not a warthog. This is a red river hog. It's a totally different animal. Still in the pig family, but not super closely related to the warthog. So it's just something a bit different than what most people would be used to. Although they are pretty common in zoos, so there's a good chance you'll see one in person at some point if you go to like zoos a lot. Like at least in the U.S. and the U.K. they've become very common in zoos. So yeah, very bizarre looking animal though. So I understand the concern, but it is accurate no less. And then ungulates tend to have like pretty significant eyelashes, so can very easily make those. It's not nearly as complicated as the ear hair on the hogs. And then in the eye itself, we are gonna push that in a bit, and then we'll put like a sphere for the actual eyeball. But at least now we've got the socket defined. It does seem like we're having a little bit of a normal issue, but nothing we can't fix necessarily, so it's these. So I think this one, if we just Alt N flip, no, that made it worse. Okay, maybe these ones. I guess technically they're fine for now, but yeah, we'll see if that gives us any issues in the future. It might not. We're not sure yet. And then here, before we forget, let's just fix up the jaw shape. So not hard by any means. And just making sure we're manipulating the lower jaw vertices. I mean, now we've done the top lip, but for the most part, when we're under here, we want to be editing that. It looks like, no, I think 285 is actually, yeah, no, it's definitely, like, that's way too big for Red River Hog. Like, okay, here, we don't want those searches, we want to use Google. Yeah, about 150 pounds is average for them. Although, I don't want to just go off of the first results on Google, that's generally not accurate. Okay, yeah, so I guess they can be up to 285 pounds. It's very interesting. $150. Yeah, okay. It's probably a range of weights that they can be, but yeah, 150 seems to be like the more average weight for them. I have a friend who actually knows quite a bit about sewage, so like pig-like things, so can definitely ask him about that if there's any uncertainty when I'm making the stats for them. Yeah, he would probably know. Okay. So now we pretty much just have to do the feet, the front legs, and the tail end. We're done. So yeah, let's do it. Let's actually start with the tail. So there's a few ways to model tails. So I notice most cat models, for example, will have the tail kind of like sticking straight out. Like that's what actually my lion has. Cause yeah, the tail does need to be like at least somewhat straight so you can animate it right. But at the same time, sometimes certain animals will like pretty much always have their tail like held down, so it's not always necessarily the worst idea to make it like pointing down, as long as it's not bent or anything. Okay, here, I'm not sure. Oh, okay, that's why. Alright, so just got a little too small. No problem, though. So we can just rotate it out. There we go. So they actually do have pretty long tails. No, you can't see it there. You can see it in this one, right? It goes all the way down to the ankles, so that's what we're gonna do. Although it's the tuft that goes that far down, so yeah, the actual tail itself would probably stop around here. Then just like what we did with the ears, we're gonna do a similar thing here. But I do want to shape the tip a bit more so it's not. Oh, I messed up. Okay. It's okay, we just have to undo a few steps. Yeah, ideally you want this to be like flat, so not rotated in any way. When you're like extruding downward especially. Like even though it looks pretty flat right now, it's technically not. So there's something like that, and hopefully now we won't have them crashing into each other and like collapsing. Oh, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, let's finish up. Oh, excuse me. All right. Yeah. Guess I really let the demons out with that one. Oh man. Okay. Okay. Enough fudging birth jokes. Jeez. Oh. No, you know what though? It's funny that we did that happened on YouTube because on Discord they actually have the microphone filter where like if you like burp or anything like that, like it doesn't pick it up, or if, or is that farting? I don't know, something like that. It's pretty funny that they like added that feature. It's not a feature, like it's automatic. You can't turn it off. Very sad, very sad. They should remove it. I say, you know. But I guess people were like complaining to the Discord people about like too many people making like noises in VC. That's a weird thing to complain about, but I assume that's what happened and like why, why it does that. Wait, what? No, I don't think I've ever made a what you call a video about a homophobic developer. I've never done that. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about there, Chase. I have no idea whatsoever. Like I don't really do drama videos like that, you know? Like this is Dr. Hyena, not Drama Alert. For those who, remember what Drama Alert was. I never really watched it, but like everyone kind of knew about it back then. It was just a thing. Very popular, I think. But yeah, I mean, you know, that's like drama territory. Yeah, I don't do that kind of stuff. Nothing against anyone who does, but you know, it's just not for me. Actually, fun fact about hooves here. They're pretty much just fingernails and toenails. So it's all keratin. So same stuff as your fingernails and your hair are made out of. Because again, they basically are fingernails, right? And also, rhino horns, pangolin scales, a lot of things are actually made of keratin. They don't have any medicinal properties, but you know, I guess some some cultures kind of assumed that they did, and still continue to do so, um, which unfortunately has led to rhinos and pangolins being very heavily endangered, which is quite unfortunate, but yeah. Good example of why education matters, though, because if that fact was like better known by the people who live in those countries that still have the market for those things, right? They probably wouldn't buy any like rhino horn or pangolin scales. But since people do believe that, it's worth a lot on the market, and a lot of the time those people, or the poachers rather, that get those things for those people, they don't really have a you know too good of a way to feed their families, and yeah, it's all kind of this really unfortunate cycle. But actually, in more positive news regarding pangolins, one was actually found in um, the national park where the game takes place very recently, and it was the first time that a pangolin had been seen in that country in over 25 years, I believe. So that was incredible, really. Like, to see one at all is extremely. Yeah, you have to be very lucky for that. But to have one return to an area where they've been extinct for a while, or extirpated is the term, like locally extinct, that's a pretty huge deal. So yeah, definitely very interesting. So there is still hope, thankfully. Like, I remember, not too long ago, like a few years back, I was talking to someone who worked at a zoo with pangolins, and um, back then, you know, our methods for caring for pangolins in captivity weren't great, and it was only like very recently, like within the past few years, we've kind of started learning how to properly care for them, because they are like they do require a lot of um, more specific conditions to breed, if I'm not mistaken. Um, in a captive environment, at least. Of course, naturally they can breed just fine. But yeah, no, it's absolutely fascinating. Like, we think we know so much about these animals and such. Yeah, we're learning new things just about every day. And hopefully that can help us protect them better. Okay, Tweeko. No, dude, we're not doing this. Like, he sounded racist. What? What are you talking about? Wait, are you saying it sounded racist because I mentioned like the black market in Asian countries or something? Because like that's not race. That's like it's just fact. Like that's where a lot of it is coming from, like the Eastern Hemisphere. So we're nearly done with the model. Actually, we just need the hind legs or hind feet rather. That will not be too hard, hopefully. God, yeah, I have like way too many vertices at this point. But let's see, it doesn't look like they have dew claws in the back. So seems that the female model is just about done. So yeah, very oh, sorry about that. I have the sticky keys. There we go. Gosh, words. I have the sticky key sounds turned on, so like that. I'm not sure if that went into the stream, but yeah. Alright, here, let's just smooth it out a little more. You do want to be careful when you're using the smooth tool though, because sometimes it'll end up taking away some pretty important details, but in this case it seems mostly fine. I do want to kind of go back and redefine the elbow area though. Ideally you'd probably want more vertices than this, but again, for a Roblox game it's certainly passable. And we're not going to be like doing too much like elbow animation. It's just like the more basic walk cycles and such. Can add a little more though, so might as well. Let's just add the eyes and we'll call it a day or a stream. We might do another stream tonight though if you guys want to watch that. I'll probably be like animating the Red River Hog. Or maybe not tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, but yeah. We shall see, we shall see. We are very nearly done. The female model. And then with the male, I mean, pretty much all we have to do is like add the bumps to the head and change the profile a bit too, I suppose. But yeah. Before I forget, yeah, those hairs along the back are pretty important to have. Very simple thing to do, so you can just kind of extrude there. Maybe a little further down. Of course, not all the way, but we do have to have something there for our hair cards to go off of. Or, to go off of for our hair cards. There we go. Then right along the sort of bottom of the cheek area is where we're gonna have those hairs as well. Sort of following that shape. Then we can just clean that up a little. And then let's also add the eyes in before I forget, so, or before I end the stream. So we can just go UV sphere. Very quickly just, oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so that's not gonna work. Can always just add it as a separate object though. Mirror, cool. Just slide them into position once they're the right size. Just move the eyelashes out of the way a little. And we are pretty much done. So yeah. She does look a little bit angry though, so you can just, it doesn't look like it has much of a particular expression right now, but it just comes off looking a little bit upset perhaps. I'm just gonna add one more ring here to sort of define the eye bulge a little more. I guess just to make it a little easier for when we do animate it, we can actually rotate the tail out a bit, just a bit. Yeah, because like with that bend there, it's gonna, it might have the same issue that the buffalo model kind of has, you know, like because that was made a while ago. Of course, got to make sure we have every vertex we need selected. Alright. So if you guys have enjoyed, you know, for those who are new around here, be sure to like, share, subscribe. Again, we may or may not be having another live stream perhaps tomorrow in which we animate this pig. And yeah, no, it'll probably be a lot of fun. Again, this is actually one of my favorite animals, so yeah, very, very happy to have been able to do this. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. So till then, take care, peace out, and goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.